Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. Winning cures everything. It is Friday, June the 12th. Good gracious, it's Winning Cures Everything. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And lots to discuss today. Chris just caught me up on some news that I had no idea even happened. But that tends to happen whenever you're busy doing other things. We had an NIL situation today. We got Bret Bielema going on, all kinds of different stuff. First things first, website, winningcureseverything.com is where you can find us, all of our picks, previews, podcasts, videos, social media platforms. Make sure you are subscribed to all of the different live platforms. We're on Twitch, we're on Periscope, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. You can jump in the chat if you would like to. It's in the bottom left of your screen. We're a little bit early today. I've got to go handle some business whenever we get done with this. So, wanted to jump in and get the show in and get a full show in. Chris, everything going well with you?
Sir.
Everything's fantastic. It's a little warm outside now. It's getting humid. It's nice and muggy. Feels like you're walking through a nice, warm, wet blanket, but we're going to survive. It's going to be all good. Michael jumps in the chat. He said, what's up, fellas? Happy Friday. It is a happy Friday indeed, and it is a fantastic Friday for you to get your ass down to Tunica, Mississippi. They are the South's premier sports gambling destination. You can find more information about all 6 of their sports books over at tunicatravel.com. They got good stuff going on down there. Like I said, they're open. They have got all kind of policies and procedures and whatnot to keep you safe while the pandemic is still ongoing. So if you would like to go down and gamble, whether it be on slot machines, playing cards, whatever else, you can go do that. Tunicatravel.com has got all the information for you before you even head down there. Damian Estrada jumps in on YouTube. He said, what's up? What's up, Damian? How are you? For anybody that isn't already subscribed to the podcast, make sure you go do that. Leave a nice 5-star review. Share the show out with your buddies. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, whatever, do us a favor. Hit that retweet button. Hit that share button. Send it out. Let everybody know what's up. Matt jumps in. He said, what's up? What is up, Matt? First topic of the day, not really a sports topic, but I wanted to hit on it anyway because I felt like it was somewhat important, and it has to do with media, which is what we do, right? Matt said any murder hornet attacks today. Not a thing, from what I understand, especially not in our neck of the woods. So I wanted to bring up Dave Chappelle. He released the 846 special. It was put together by Netflix. He recorded it on June 6th, which was last Saturday. He has he's done 2 of these shows, which I thought was fantastic. Chris, you've watched it, of course. I watched it this morning. The setup was awesome. Like, I love the outdoors kind of setup. I think it is really cool, really intimate. You know, it's only 27 minutes or whatever. It is really, really well done. And I didn't want to dive so much into the topics. And Chris and I were both kind of trying to figure out how to bring this up without diving all the way into the subject matter. But I wanted to bring up, you know, and maybe ask the question, and maybe Chris will differ with this, but I wanted to say that I think that he is the best social thinker of our generation. And then I saw Bomani Jones tweet about it, and I think he put it better. He said he is the most effective communicator of our generation. And I think it is important to be able to communicate with an audience that actually wants to listen to you, right? I think that's the best part about Chappelle. And what he does is he makes people want to listen. Now, he is incredibly educated on the subject matter and whatnot. He doesn't talk about things he doesn't know about. Hey, Chris, tell me your thoughts here. Do you think that's probably the best way to describe him?
I mean, yeah, it's a good way to describe him. He's just been around for so long, and he's earned the trust of everybody. This is all this is. It's all, and he even talks about it on this little special thing that he did here. He brings that up. It's all about trust. We have, and some of that is because our other outlets of things that we have to listen to are so untrustworthy. Even the things that we align with politically and we watch, we know they're filling us full of shit. We know that they're lying to us. They know that all the things that they're saying are so skewed, even in the direction that we believe. If you got half a brain, you know they're just telling you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And so it's a combination of we're living in a world in which we don't have a lot of people saying anything that we can trust. And he's kind of been in our lives for a long time. And he's kind of always been super trustworthy. He's just out there. He's open about any of his flaws, and he says exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah, which is what we try and do. And I don't know that we will ever be capable of what he is capable of doing, right? What he does already. But we try and be as honest as we can be. I don't know,
do something for 40 years and don't ever lie.
Yeah.
If you haven't, here's the problem. You have to have an audience for 40 years. Okay.
Correct.
So or 30 years. Find enough people that want to listen to you talk about whatever it is you're doing, skits, jokes, whatever, for 30 years. Okay. And then throughout those 30 years, never get caught in a lie.
Yeah.
And if you do get caught in something that's mixed up or wrong, own up to it, admit it, and make it right. But that's the only way you can do it. This isn't a talent. This is just the talent was getting the audience. The talent was being funny and being somebody that everyone wants to listen to and like, just to laugh at, years and years and years ago before he had anything like this to say.
He's incredibly honest, like we've been talking about. He is not a cancel culture kind of guy, but he'll call a spade a spade. And I think that's what makes him so endearing to a lot of people. Damian jumped in. He said Dave Chappelle of 2020, and he said Chappelle is the next Nelson Mandela. Now, I don't know about that. I think that might be putting a little too much on him. But I think it is good to have people like this that, one, are educated on the subjects, and two, know how to talk about it and get it out there. If you haven't watched it already, go do yourself a favor. It's 25 minutes of him talking, and it is fantastic and incredibly riveting. So I would recommend it. I would suggest that everybody go watch it. Chris, I assume you do the same?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about sports. Let's jump into this. Zion Williamson. Holy mackerel, what have we got going on here? This is everything that we hate about the NCAA, right? This is the bigwigs siding together and deciding what they want to think is okay and what's not okay, right? All of this stuff that has come out in the lawsuit right now with Gina Ford, his former marketing agent, what she says is he needs to come out and admit like exactly where he got the money to pay for that house that was, valued at like $950,000?
$950,000.
So
yes.
They were paying rent at a house in South Carolina. Like the rent was
$800 a month.
And at this home, it would be closer to $4,500 a month. On top of that, they didn't really have great vehicles before. And then once he gets to Duke, all of a sudden they've got three incredibly nice vehicles, an Escalade.
3 luxury cars. Yeah, it's just 3 luxury cars. It's 3 Mercedes, Lexus, Cadillacs. 3 luxury cars.
And incredibly expensive, whatever. Now, the NCAA has already looked at this, and they cleared it. They cleared it beforehand. Like, everything was on the up and up, they said. Now, the NCAA knew before anything else that Zion's dad got $150,000 as a consultant for Nike last year. So when he was part of the EYBL circuit, all that kind of mess, he got paid $150,000. Now, that can obviously upgrade what you're doing, right? Like, if you're living at a home that costs $800 a month to rent, well, you get $150,000 a year. That's going to boost you up to where you can rent more.
But you can't rent a $950,000 home and own luxury cars on $150,000.
Agreed.
It's not that damn much money.
No, it's not. It's not. You can rent cars for that. You can do whatever. But the finances do not work out. The NCAA cleared it and said that they did, but we know that they don't. We also know that NCAA and Nike are in cahoots, and they have been forever. You don't want to pick a fight with Nike if you're the NCAA.
That's why they pick fights with That's why they pick fights with Adidas.
Well, they picked fights with Adidas because the FBI picked fights with Adidas.
But it didn't matter. That doesn't matter. They have just as much information that they could go in on this if they wanted to.
Agreed.
They choose not to.
And that's our problem.
Coach K is the biggest brand that they don't want to bring down.
Yep.
Duke, second biggest brand they don't want to bring down. And Nike, third biggest brand. They don't want to bring down. They don't want to bring these guys down. Adidas, yeah, we'll shit on them all day long. They are a stepchild.
Yeah, but Nike gives so much money to NCAA member institutions that the NCAA doesn't want to mess with them. And that's where this all becomes a problem, right? So I brought up to you earlier, the NCAA has enough here, and it's fishy enough that they could go, just like they did to Memphis, where Derrick Rose, it was never proven that he did not personally take that SAT. They had zero proof. Derrick Rose never talked to him. Nobody talked to him. They couldn't prove anything. And yet they still took Memphis's Final Four banners, put them on probation, took scholarships, whatever, right? After that, or before that, you had the Reggie Bush situation, which is the exact same situation.
Yep, Reggie Bush's family got a big-ass house in San Diego that they couldn't afford, and the NCAA found it. And guess what? They got popped.
And you know why they got popped? Because it was an agent.
Yeah.
Well, no,
it's the exact situation, by the way. Reggie didn't pay his marketing agent. Reggie didn't pay his marketing agent, and he lost his Heisman, and a bunch of other stuff happened. Gina Ford is going to go down this exact same road.
Oh, yeah.
It is the exact same thing. Zion is trying to get out of paying Gina Ford for getting him all the things that she's gotten him.
Yep, and he wanted to sign with CAA. They're the biggest sports market. Well, I mean, one of the biggest artist agencies in the world. CAA is massive. That's Jimmy
fine.
Sexton,
you got to pay
when you
got
to pay
here's
the people
the thing.
On the way up.
Gina Ford, I fully believe this. I fully believe this is not the last shell to be dropped, okay? When she came out with the house and the cars, all right? They first brought the lawsuit and asked for the money. No one paid them off. Not Nike, not Duke, not the NCAA, not Zion. I can't believe nobody stroked a check. So she dropped 2 big bombs this week. I assure you she's got more cards to play. I, for the entertainment value, kind of hope that they keep telling her, we ain't paying you nothing.
Yeah.
They just keep dropping bombs, because the worst case scenario is that nothing happens to Duke, but the shine is off that apple, and the exposure of how rotten and gross the NCAA really is, of how they handpick. Man, I'm telling you, if I was Auburn, I'm not a Nike school. I'm an Under Armour school, and Nike wants these schools, wants the NCAA to go after these Adidas and Under Armour schools more. Screw you. F you. I am not cowering down. I don't care how many violations you got on us. We're going to play our games. We're going to start our guys. We're going to put our coach out there, and you can go kick rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you pick and choose when you want to pick a fight and who you want to pick a fight with based off what benefits you. The NCAA is rotten to the core.
Oh, 100%. Jump into these comments here. Matt said all colleges are cheating. Some get caught, others don't. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. And it's not that some get caught and some don't. It's what Michael said next. He said the NCAA picks and chooses their victims. I mean, period. Joseph Gomez said,
this is why I beat my chest 3 years ago when Ole Miss was getting crushed for having a cat sleep on a coach's couch as an NCAA level 1 violation, for a kid getting some gym shorts at a sporting goods store, local Oxford sporting goods store, for a guy getting a hunting trip. This dude got $1 million home and $300,000 worth of cars.
And nothing's happening.
And you're worried about some gym shorts, a dude sleeping on somebody's couch?
Yeah, it's
taking
ridiculous.
them hunting and fishing? That's the shit you're worried about? Why? Because you beat Bama twice, and we can't have that. Sorry, Nick. This is the truth, though.
No, it's all good. I understand it.
But it's how the NCAA works. They're in bed with the big boys, and they don't want anybody else to ever come to the table. And if you think you're close enough to the sun, you're going to be Icarus. We give you – everybody else gets wax wings. You get too close to the sun, they melt, you fall, we crush you.
That was a really good analogy there. Really nice.
That's what the NCAA is.
No, agreed. Joseph Gomez said, is it that hard to figure out? You're spending 10 times what you make and you're not doing anything shady? I don't believe you. And then Michael jumped back in. He said, if they look hard enough, they can find violations at every program, guaranteed. Yes, Because everybody's got to find a way to get these kids to sign with their school, because if you don't have players, you don't win. And if you don't win, coaches don't keep their jobs. So they are going to continue to do this until the end of time. There will always be a way to get around the rule book. That's just the way it is. And Duke is not clean. They're not squeaky clean. They're not anything. They're exactly like Kentucky, like all these other programs.
Coach Cal is the poster boy for being the mobbed up looking, dirty swindle, every slime ball of the NCAA that everyone points to and says, this is not what we want. This is not what we want. This is not what we want. Coach K is the model citizen. I'm going to tell you, they're the same damn person, which is why I'm a Cal defender, and I'm always going to be a Cal defender.
Yes, I agree with you.
Always.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. So I don't think this will be the last that we see of this. At this point, I am still shocked that we have not had a buyout. We have not had a settlement yet.
I can't believe Nike and Duke, two monster brands with limitless pockets, haven't stepped up and said, you're asking for $100 million. You're not going to get $100 million. If we gave you 10 tomorrow, that would be an accounting error to those two cats.
Right.
Just make her go away, which I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I want to keep seeing shells drop.
I mean, I don't know that the NCAA will ever do anything about this.
No.
But it's still nice to see it come out there because it takes that shine off the apple. Michael jumped in.
It shows us the core that they are.
Exactly. Michael said, no offense, Gary, but do you think those 5 stars are going to Bama for their science department? Give me a break. You can say the same for every school. Yeah. And Joseph said, can I apply for my 3 credits in Greek mythology after listening to Winning Cures Everything? 100%. Just get Chris to sign your paperwork. But yeah, going back to Michael, I already know. Everybody cheats. I've been saying it on this show for years. It's not like I think that they're clean. LSU's not clean. Alabama's not clean. You cannot win if you are squeaky clean. It's just not possible. So, no, I don't think that they're going for the science department. Maybe literature, but, it is what it is. We love seeing this come out, even if nothing ever ultimately happens. But it's nice to see somebody standing up to these bigger institutions. The smart play for players like this, for Reggie Bush, for Zion Williamson, which, do you remember the agent's name for Reggie Bush?
Yeah, it was the guy, God, it's like 2 first names, Matthew Matthewsons or something like that.
Michael Michaels, that was it. Yeah, I knew it was an M name that was twice. You remember? Did you listen to the Yahoo Sports podcast last night?
I heard Wetzel. Wetzel's the best at all of this.
Talking about Will Ferrell with his Chaz Michael Michaels character, fantastic. I love that. But yeah, pay off the people that you start working with. Just pay them off and get them out of the way.
These people got you that house. Gina Ford, you know why she knows about the house? Because she's the one that got you the damn house. You know how she knows about the cars? She worked the deals. Yes. Everybody, listen, Zion brings the most to the talent, which is his with the most to the table, which is his talent. Okay. Yes. Duke brings the facility, whatever. Somebody has to work these deals because Duke and the player can't negotiate deals. That's how you get caught. All right. Yes. Which means you need somebody to make these deals happen. Nobody ever wants to pay that person. That's bullshit. You have to pay that person.
Yeah. When they had the information.
They did a job. We all agreed to the terms of the job. Duke got what they wanted. Zion got what he wanted. You got to make sure she gets what she wants.
100%. Michael said, reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Blue Chips. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's Nick Nolte, Penny Hardaway, Shaq, all that. Fantastic movie if you go back and watch. I mean, it's the subject is great. I don't know how great the movie was, but Damian said
NCAA. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Damian said the NCAA cheats more than Bill Clinton.
Probably. Oh yeah, the NCAA is the worst. So.
All right, let's dive into the next topic. NBA players are suddenly hesitant to be going down to Orlando to live in a bubble. Now, I hate to say I told you so, but this is the whole reason why I brought up doing only 16 teams. For weeks, we talked about this. And I said, bringing this many teams down is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, it's giving more people a chance to get into the playoffs, but the timing of it is awful. I think you and I both have agreed on this. This is a plan that should have been done last month. They should have been playing last month.
Started last month, at least a month ago.
It's gonna. We're there. By the way, they pushed up the start date. It's now going to be July 30th instead of July 31st. I mean, it's just ridiculous. At this point, like, you're going to have fans in the stands for all kinds of different games, and you're going to have NBA players living in a bubble in Disney World after the park is already open, and they're not going to allow the players to go to the park. They're allowing the families to come down after a certain point, but they're not letting them go to the park. Who wants to do that? Like, they said that it will be down to, what is it? It'll be down to 16 teams within 53 days. Or no, it may be down to 8 teams in 53, whatever it is.
It'll be pretty quick.
It'll be fairly quick, but it's still like 2 months. That's kind of ridiculous. Like,
but to get from 22 to 8, that's a lot of teams you got to knock out.
Well, you got to knock out the 6 non-playoff teams.
Seven-game series.
Yeah.
Once the playoffs start, so you can't use that. You get down to 16 pretty quick.
Right. Well, you get down to 16, which
and
is
then the
playoffs
start. That's the playoffs. Once you get to 16, the playoffs start.
Right. So you'll be down to 16 teams. Fairly
the question
quickly.
is this: it's not the matter of team. The amount of teams is irrelevant to this. If guys aren't wanting to do this,
well, the teams that don't,
then it doesn't matter if you're the number 1 seed or the number 5 seed. You're in, and you got to do this, or you don't win the championship.
The players that don't want to do this are the ones that are currently outside of the playoffs. It's the guys from the Trailblazers.
That's fine.
And whatever
then
else.
Don't show up. I assure you, your team can put a team of scrubs out there. Somebody from the D League will get called up, get a spot, and they'll sign a 10-day contract, something like that. And they'll show up, they'll get their butt whipped, they'll go home, and the owners will and GMs and coaches will evaluate the fact that you didn't want to come play when we had a shot to do something here. And you'll have to take, yes, you have the right to not show up and play. Nobody can put a gun to your head. That's the beauty of this country. You don't have to force to do any job. All right. But they also don't have to pay you for that. And then if they want to use that against you in negotiations for the next contract, they're absolutely at liberty to do that.
They've all got team planes, right?
Yes.
Do you think that it would be smarter for the NBA to maybe quarantine for all of July and get the 8 regular season games that are left, get those knocked out, and then switch it back and go play the playoff games in home arenas? That seems to make more sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not doing that anyway. I never understood why these people made a big deal about we all have to go live in a bubble because, well, they want them in the bubble because then they can't. They know if you get here and you don't have it, if you still live at home, you're going to still go out and do whatever it is that you normally do, and the team doesn't have control over you. That's
True.
the problem.
I mean,
John Morant right now is still in Memphis.
Yeah.
And if he wants to go out, he can go out to any bar in Memphis that he wants to.
He's out playing right now.
But
like,
you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. What I'm saying is, like, John Morant was out with Campaign and a bunch of the highly ranked, recruits and whatnot, some of the college players around town, and they were having big pickup games somewhere in town.
So you can't quarantine them here, and that's why they want to do the bubble.
And I understand
it's not travel. It's not worried about catching it in transit. It's right now we know everybody that has it or don't have it. If you get them there and you get everybody tested and nobody's got it, and they don't see anybody else outside of the people that they're with until this thing's over with, then they can't just magically catch it.
Agreed.
But if you leave them at home, then LeBron can get it, and now he's out for 2 weeks of the playoffs.
Yeah, which
that's the problem.
I do understand that. I do understand where you're coming from. It's still just, it's insane. Like, the odds of them getting it are so minuscule. Michael said, let's see, if any player has an issue with it, then stay home. Damian said the NBA is rigged. Matt said, taking a bunch of guys who do whatever they want now, going to be told to stay in a limited area, not smart. Not smart. So, yeah, I mean, it's it's just tough to figure out exactly what's going to
It's
happen.
smart. It's just not easy. It's not going to work. I mean, these guys are going to leave. They're going to sneak out. They're going to get out. That's just part of it.
They're going to get out. Like, period.
And then the question is, what happens when they get out? Are we going to kick them out of the playoffs? Like, what happens? You can't come back into the bubble? You're out?
I mean, it's kind of crazy, right?
I mean, Adam Silver has never stood up to a player not one time in his entire life.
Oh, Damian said Adam Silver is the rigged commissioner ever, the most rigged commissioner ever. If he was smart, there would be an even amount of teams in each conference instead of having favorites.
Yeah, I have no idea how we got 22 teams.
And only one extra team from the East, like 9 from the East, 13 from the West.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's so lopsided. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
It was who is closest to being
I don't want to make anybody mad. That's all he does. He doesn't ever want to make anybody mad.
Right. Which is, and
he's so afraid to not let one of these players get upset.
It's kind of crazy to see.
Be a leader. Don't be like, there's a world between Adam Silver being worthless because he's just so in the players' butts and Roger Goodell being just an idiot and a taskmaster, basically, and just unwilling to ever give the players anything.
There should be a gray
There's
area.
a world in which you don't have to have this guy and you don't have to have this guy. You can be somewhere in the middle where you stand up to the players when they're wrong. You tell them, quit whining, get on the bus. We have to finish the season, guys, and not be an authoritative, a dictator or whatever. Like, there's a world between those two guys.
Yeah, Damian said, I miss David Stern. Michael said, Adam Silver has no spine. And Joseph Gomez said they wanted Zion, and they're not saying it. Like, yeah, they wanted.
But I think if they do the extra team, Zion would have gotten in, right? It would have been Sacramento that would have gotten left out.
Well, now here's why it's a little bit crazy. Sacramento, Portland, and who am I missing? Oh, the Pelicans. All three of them are tied with the exact same record. So, yeah,
that's the hard part.
That's the hard part. So, but instead, they brought the Suns and the Spurs, and the Spurs are only a half a game back of those other teams, only because they didn't get their game in on the night that everything got shut down.
That's right.
So
they didn't play. They could be tied, but they played one less game.
They're 27-36, and the other teams
they played one less game. That makes sense.
Yeah. So
at some point in time, you just got to be a bad guy.
Yes.
You got to say this is the rule. Now, here's the thing: if this is the rule, 22 teams, we're all showing up. Now you have to be a bad guy. So you weren't a bad guy before to whittle this thing down and make it make sense. Now you have to be a bad guy. You got to get on the phone with these guys. You got to get on the phone with their agents. You got to get on the phone with the general managers and the coaches. Say, get these guys here.
Yeah.
Get your asses here. I don't want a bunch of D-League guys showing up for the playoffs.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to end up with an asterisk next to it. Just the way it goes. Michael said you can't leave Portland out. Nobody wants to hear Baby Lillard again.
Oh my God!
And that's
part of it. I would be upset if they left Portland out just so we wouldn't hear from him for a while.
Yeah,
he'd bitch for a little bit and then he'd disappear. He's a great player. If he just shows up and plays his ass off, I'm happy.
Well, that's
I love watching him play. He's an absolute assassin on the court.
Michael said, "Make Portland and Sacramento play a pickup game in the streets of Chaz in Seattle." Yeah, that would work.
No, I don't understand why they didn't just do like weird play-in games for all those teams that are close. And then tell the Wizards, sorry, tough shit.
Yeah, I agree. Look, the whole thing behind this is Portland. You've got some players that are, well, we can make the playoffs. Like
yes.
if they'll give us a real shot to make the playoffs, then we'll come back. Well, you're only 3.5 games back. Everybody gets 8 games. If you are within 4 games, then you have a play-in series. You have to beat the 8 seed twice. The 8 seed only has to beat you once.
That's right.
Whoever wins goes, right? So, basically a best 2 out of 3, but
not if you're the higher seed.
Right, if you're the higher seed, you only got to win one time. But you could still end up with 3 games.
You got to sweep. You got to win 2 games.
Well, no, it'd be only 2 games.
It
wouldn't be best of 3. It'd be best of 2. Not even best of 2.
No, you got to win 2 games.
You got to win 2 games, or the 8 seed's got to win 1. Either way, Portland has got some guys that really think, oh, we can make the playoffs. I want a good shot at the playoffs. Well, you got your shot, right? Yeah. But then you still have players on that team. Carmelo Anthony is the main one that is saying, I don't really know that I want to go to Orlando. Like he's the main
but he's
guy.
Not a main player.
No, he's not a main player for them, but he is the most outspoken and the most.
Then leave his ass at home because he spent half the year on the couch anyway. Like he didn't even play half the season.
Michael said, "Shame on them. Shame on all of them for taking nights off. Just cut them off, and maybe they'll learn not to take nights off." Yeah, I mean that's why you don't sit out games. That's why you don't. I mean, you never know when this stuff's going to happen, right? Now the odds of it happening again in the future.
Every game's important.
Yeah, every game should matter.
If they didn't do load management in the beginning of the season, then you're right. Then maybe you'd be a whole lot better than you are now.
Yeah, and for Portland, they had 2 starters injured for a large part of this series,
and that happens.
Yeah, that happens.
You can't control that, but also you can't be mad about that. It's nobody else's fault either.
Exactly, it's nobody else's fault. Period. So it is what it is. I'm curious to see what's going to happen here because, you try and bring more teams, but you don't want to bring everybody. So if you're not bringing everybody, you bring more teams. The teams that don't feel like they have the best shot at the playoff, they don't really want to go down there and live in a bubble for however long, 2 months, 3 months. So now you've got a whole different situation on your hands. You got to come up with something else. Joseph said,
we're too far into it. We're not coming up with something else. This is what we got.
Yeah. I mean, this
is the plan that's been set. There is no changing it now. There's just listening to guys bitch. And if they don't show up, they don't show up. My thing is this: if you're the general manager and you're the owner of that team, if you're the head coach on that team, and contracts come up, man, that's gonna come into play.
Oh, I think so.
Now, I mean, if you're Damian Lillard, you're gonna get whatever you want because you're the best player in the team and you're a top 10 player in the world.
Michael said it's always someone else's fault, guys. Come on, it's never my fault. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Joseph said Carmelo needs his check because his divorce with Lala cost him big.
That was a really expensive divorce.
It most certainly was. All right, let's dive off of that. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed the name, image, likeness bill. It goes into effect July 1st of 2021. That is a little over 12 months away. The NCAA is going to have to get something done, and that is why Power 5 conferences were pleading with Congress to get something done. You're going to have something that matches what all these states want to do. California is by far the most open. Florida is right there with them. Colorado has set theirs for 2023, etc. You need something before these go into effect, right? California is going to an effect in 2023. But now that Florida has signed theirs and it's going into effect, they're going to have to do something. And it's not going to be this, we'll let them make some money off EA Sports and what. No, you got to get on board. Like, period. Otherwise, every player that has an option is going to go to Florida. Like, they're going to go down to the state of Florida and play and make whatever they can make. And no, not everybody's going to be able to make money down there. Like, that's just the way it goes because you have to set up something. This is, one, it's great that Florida went ahead and did this. They didn't bow to the pressure of the NCAA or anybody else that was pushing against them, all these lobbyists, everybody else, because the NCAA has millions of dollars tied up in lobbyists.
Well, hang on, wait a minute. We can't afford to play players, but we've got millions of dollars to pay people who all they do is bribe other people.
Right.
Good to know. That's the system we got, guys.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That's what those sons of bitches do out there in Indiana or Illinois or wherever the hell they're from.
It's utterly ridiculous, but good on Florida for not bowing down to the pressure and going ahead and getting this done. They went ahead and passed it on through. Governor Ron DeSantis, this is a bipartisan issue. Both sides are in agreement that the players should be able to get paid off their likeness. That's almost unheard of in these days. In these incredibly polarizing times, it's not very likely that you see both sides of the aisle coming together on an issue. Everybody agrees. Yet the players should be able to get paid. I don't know that they should get paid by the schools, but I don't know why they shouldn't be.
For that.
But nobody's asking for it.
Has asked for that in this stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's just ridiculous. Damien jumped in. He said, why not have all the teams? So this is going back to the NBA. Why not have the teams in World Cup group stages? Yeah, we've been through that before. I mean it would be interesting. But the reason they don't is because the NBA wants to have a real playoff. They don't want an asterisk next to.
They want to try to make it look like all the regular playoffs that they've always had, which is 7-game series.
Michael said, big middle finger to the NCAA has to be the most corrupt system in America. Yes. Yep. The reason why these
and that's
schools,
saying something, by the way.
Yeah.
That's saying something. We are finding out that almost every system in this country is really jacked up.
And they want to tell you that they're not. They want to give you all these reasons why they're not. Here is the biggest reason why these schools do not want players to get paid, because that is money that would be going to the school to advertise with them, and instead it would be paying the player to advertise for them instead.
I think that's such a stupid argument, because there are enough local businesses out there that in every small college town, I'm not talking about big corporations. I'm not talking about national sponsorships like Allstate and all this other stuff. I'm talking about small mom and pop businesses. Every college town in every state has enough local businesses that want to support. Now, right now they can't, because for you to charge for advertising, you want $20,000. And local mom and pop place can't afford that. But once all the $20,000 checks start going to the players, then maybe you're fine with 10 people paying you $2,000.
Yeah.
Now you still get to $20K, and instead of having one banner, you got to put up 10 banners. That's fine. That's part of your deal. But they're not going to lose one nickel, because there's enough people out here that would love to advertise locally, but they don't afford the amount that these schools ask. Well, why do they ask what they ask? Because they can. Because currently the big boys are paying them and not the players. Also, I think it's going to be flipped. I think the big boys, your national places, are still going to pay the schools. They're still going to want the school brand sponsorship, not the individual personal sponsorship. So who's going to end up paying all these kids is probably going to be a lot of small local places.
Agreed.
And here's the reason why. National brands aren't going – they're going to be very
selective,
suspect to put all their eggs in an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid.
Yes. I mean, you're not going to get $1 million contracts. That's just not going to happen.
But even $100,000 contracts, if it's the dollar figure is irrelevant. It's my name, my company name next to Jameis Winston.
Yes.
And then Jameis Winston, rape allegation, steal crab legs, grab her by the pussy, and everybody associates me and my brand with him. There's no national team that's going to do that.
Yeah.
There's a company that's going to do that. They're going to be very suspect before they do that.
Now, mom and pops, a little different.
Mom and pops will 100% absolutely do that.
Because
that grocery store, he won't have to steal crab's legs. That little convenience store, they'll just give them to him, and with the sponsorship.
Yeah, and then
but that's just part of it. So that
Damian jumped in. He said the NCAA are like the mafia, and then Michael said money's already being made. Now it'll just be public and no going back and stripping trophies or banners. That's basically all that we want on this show, right?
Yeah.
I
just want to get it out of the darkness into the light. And I'll tell you this is why. Because I want kids to honestly go where they want to go to college. This is the absolute truth, by the way. Okay? I want kids to go where they want to go to college. And right now, I don't believe they're doing that.
No, it's been going on
kids
forever.
Are leaving home and they're going to places they would never darken the door of in their life, because their families are telling them, you got to go because they're offering us the biggest offer.
Yes. Albert Means went to Alabama only because his high school coach got paid.
That's right.
Period. If you go back and look, Brian Bowen went to Louisville. He never even considered Louisville. They called. There was a runner that called Louisville's coaching staff and said, "Hey, do you guys want this 5-star? We can probably make it happen." They said, "Well, yeah, we'd love to recruit him." He shows up and he commits in less than a week.
Yep.
Like, that's it. He had never even been to the campus, never even considered him, and it was because Adidas was giving him $150,000.
That's right. That's right.
Like, he didn't care.
He didn't want to live the next year and a half or however long you spent in Kentucky. If we get it out in the light, if we get it out in the open, then these kids can actually pick where they want to go to school and do that and not feel like they're leaving money on the table.
Yeah. Maybe you're
feel
leaving
like they're letting their families down.
Yeah. You'll have a check coming in. You'll have
You're
this
talking
kind of
to a guy that after my second freshman year of college, I was asked to leave college and come home because my mom was going to lose our house. Okay. It wasn't that drastic. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't that drastic, but somebody had to come home and help pay bills.
Yeah.
Things were tight, had to help pay bills. It's part of it.
Yeah.
I know what that pressure's like. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it happens for a lot of
them. I get that it's hard. That dictated where I went to college, where I finished school.
So you ended up, where were you? Were you in Arkansas?
Well, in my first freshman year of college, I went to Ouachita Baptist University.
Is that in Arkansas or is that, where is that?
It's in Arkadelphia. It's in Arkadelphia.
Okay.
And then I went to Northwest, but I was at Senatopia. And then when I came back to finish at Ole Miss, I had to finish I had to leave Oxford and come back to South
DeSoto County. Yeah. No, you're right. Michael said money's always, hold on. He said this is also keep young athletes away from those scum agents that take advantage of them. Some of that might still go on. Basketball players are allowed at this point to sign with agents, and they can come back to school if they don't get drafted, if they don't take money, et cetera, et cetera. That's the biggest thing, though. Matt said NWCC grade 13. Yeah, I did that. But yeah, the scum agents are always going to be there. When you've got somebody just handing out money, it's always going to be there. And the NCAA has tried to curtail that out, right? They've tried, but they are still around. There's not as many of them as there used to be.
Hang on. The NCAA is making it worse by keeping it in the darkness.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. What do you think these kids would actually be getting if it wasn't going through so many different back channeled systems? So many backdoor systems. All those people that touch that money to get it to that kid to make sure it never gets traced back to where it came from, all those people have to have their hand greased. And not just a little bit. They got to get paid enough to where they don't ever talk about it.
Well, and on top of that, it's stuff like the Gina Ford situation with Zion that we talked about. That kind of stuff, you won't have to worry about that as much because it'll all be on the up and up.
Well,
so
because all those contracts would be legit contracts.
Right. So if
legally, there would be no lawsuit. I mean, that you could not pay her. That's fine.
And that's the thing.
There would be a lawsuit, but it'd be pretty damn crystal clear as to what she worked out.
But the contract wouldn't be it wouldn't be shady.
That's right. Because right now the contract's shady.
Yeah, which is why it's not a done deal yet.
She doesn't have a real contract because all this stuff was a wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah. Michael said the NCAA trying to keep kids safe. Don't let anyone else take advantage of you. We'll do plenty of that.
That's it. I mean, that's 100% it right there. You're letting the biggest predators protect you from predators.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Matt said if you want to do it right, the coach gives the kid cash directly, can't trace it, no one else will know. I will say this. If anybody else finds it, that's why coaches don't do that.
That's why coaches don't ever do it.
Yeah, because they'll lose their $1 million-something a year job.
Those guys make too. The only person that has the most to lose is the head coach.
Yeah. So the coaches are more so the ones that are, I don't know anything about it. I never heard anything.
That's right.
Don't know anything.
This is why the wording lack of institutional control came in, because coaches forever said, I don't know what you're talking about. And at some point in time, we said, you don't really get to say you don't know what we're talking about and say you have control over your program.
Yeah, it's just like any other business. If you hire a bad employee, we're going to blame you. Like, yes, we're going to fire the employee
Here's the thing.
well.
We'll allow a bad employee as long as we found out you found it, you addressed it. Okay, thank you. You're doing your job.
And there's still going to be punishment for it. But it may not be as bad.
But there's little bits of stuff. You know, you can get an ass chewing here or there, and that's no big deal.
Michael said that's like a creepy van telling you not to get in the other creepy van.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, let's wrap up the show today. You sent this to me earlier, and I had no idea that it was even a thing. Ex-Arkansas coach Bret Bielema is suing the Razorback Foundation. He's suing Arkansas over their buyout agreement. Mark Schlabach wrote this article at 2:13 p.m. Central Time today, so less than 2 hours ago. He is suing them for his buyout agreement after his firing in November 2017. In the lawsuit filed against the Razorback Foundation in federal court in Arkansas on Friday, Bielema's attorneys indicated he was seeking just over $7 million. Bielema, now an assistant with the New York Giants, was fired after compiling a 29-34 record, 11-29 in the SEC in 5 seasons with the Razorbacks. The Razorback Foundation agreed to an $11.935 million buyout in January 2018 and was scheduled to pay Bielema $320,000 per month until December 31st of this year. after paying Bielema more than $4 million, they stopped making payments to him because they believed he was not actively seeking a job that would mitigate his buyout. Now, that was part of his contract. You have to be looking for a job that can help offset what we're supposed to be paying you, right? You and I talked about this multiple times after it happened because we found it absurd that you signed the contract, you agreed to the buyout. It really doesn't matter what he does after that.
Right.
You have to pay the money. Like, that's
also,
the way this goes.
They're gonna. This is tough for them to stop paying when they stopped, because he absolutely interviewed for that Colorado job and he absolutely interviewed for the Michigan State job.
Well, they stopped paying him after $4 million. So
Yes.
had they kept paying him, this whole thing would have been done in
But
December
he's
of this
still
year.
looking for employment as jobs.
Right.
Like, you can't say it's October, November, he's not looking for a job. What are we doing? Like, we're in the middle of a season. He has a job with the Patriots. It would be uncouth for him to leave that job to be looking for other jobs. You can only do it during the offseason.
Well,
as soon as the offseason happened,
right.
he immediately interviewed for 2 open college jobs, didn't get either one, took a different assistant coaching job in the NFL. That's tough on you.
Yes. The reason that they stopped paying it is he took a volunteer coaching job with the New England Patriots in 2018.
Well,
Now,
yes. So
that-
to get
that
on
led-
with Bill Belichick was not going to hire anybody else. He was fully staffed.
Yes.
And Bielema said, I would like to learn under the best football mind in the history of the game. And
it's a
I'll
smart
spend
idea.
some time here. Well, Belichick's like, come on, you're welcome to come on. I got a lot of interns. And Bret chose to do that. I absolutely think that that's allowed, by the way.
Yes, 100%. He became their defensive line coach in 2019. The Giants hired him as their outside linebackers coach and senior assistant this January.
Because it was only 1 year he had to do that. The only one
Right.
year he had to work for basically an intern program.
Correct.
And then Bill got him a full-time job after that.
Arkansas is going to lose this lawsuit.
They're going to, and they absolutely should lose the hell out of this lawsuit.
And on top of that, so they would owe another $7 million to Bielema. They still owe more than $10 million to former coach Chad Morris, who was fired in November with 4 years left on his contract.
$10 million.
Yeah. Morris had a 4-18 record in nearly 2 seasons at Arkansas, including an 0-14 mark against SEC foes. Bielema, we agree, is a better coach than Chad Morris. We thought this was a bad move to begin with.
I thought it was a terrible fire.
Ben said,
but I love Bret, though. You know
Yes.
that. I'm in the tank for Bret.
we would have loved for him to get any of those jobs.
I really
We
wanted
back.
him to get one of those coaching jobs in college.
Yes, and I think he will eventually. But I think he's more set on going to the NFL route. But
I don't know.
we'll see.
Now he's right now working alongside of Freddie Kitchens and under Jason Garrett. I don't think that's lasting long.
Well, he's not on Jason Garrett's side of the ball. He's working.
Oh, he's
outside
doing
linebackers.
defense.
Yeah, outside linebackers. So,
Okay, well then it's
I
fine.
mean, we'll see. Ben said, did that announcement you guys were hyping up happen? We're close. It'll be next week. We thought it was going to be this week. It's going to be next week. So it's not here yet, but it's coming. No worries. We will have a big announcement for you next week. Matt said they got to sell more Tyson chicken to pay off that. Yeah, agreed. The Brown Yeti jumped in. We hadn't seen the Brown Yeti yet today. What's up, brother? I agree. I thought Arkansas firing Bret was a mistake. 100%. Like, yes, he tried. The reason that they fired him, he had a really bad year his last year, right? He saw the direction that the SEC was going. He wanted to, Matt said, murder Hornet shirts. Yeah, we're working on that. We're going to get that. Don't worry. You got to give us more in a couple of days. The reason they got fired is he saw the direction that the rest of the SEC was moving and realized, oh, crap, everybody else is putting up a ton more points. We got to get our offense more prolific. We've got to do something different than run the ball 60 times a game, right? Not a major shift, but you got to switch your personnel around a little bit, and he was in the middle of trying to do that. So
the problem is he had started one path. They didn't like it. They demanded he pivot. He pivots for them, and then he chose to pivot again because he saw the direction that things were going, and they didn't want to watch for another pivot in the offense.
Yeah. And by doing that, they allowed a full pivot with Chad Morris with personnel that was not ready to run a full spread offense. It wasn't ready, and they I mean, it was awful. Arkansas has been awful.
A complete teardown.
Yes. So now you bring in.
No, it's the bed they made.
Pittman.
This is the bed they made.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you bring in Sam Pittman. We like to think Pittman will be somewhat successful.
We like Pittman, but this ain't happening overnight.
No, you better be ready to sit
football
for a while.
team.
Yep. A bunch of people jump in here. Ben said, cool. The Brown Yeti said, I just woke up. I work nights right now. Hey, cheers to that. I understand. Graveyard shift is a beast. We're glad you jumped in when you did, though. Damian said Corona shirts, too. We gotta come up with all kind of. We need to update the store. That's what we got to do. So we'll work on that. I'll work on that a little bit over the weekend. My wife's going out of town for a few days. I've got to go work with Chris and reset up the studio and whatnot. Again, announcement coming next week. We'll let you know when it actually happens. But we ain't announcing nothing till paperwork is done. So yeah, there you go. Chris, is there anything else that we need to hit today?
That's it.
That is it. What a fantastic Friday show. All you guys in the chat, y'all have been wonderful. Thank you again, as always, for jumping in. We definitely appreciate it. Go check out winningcureseverything.com. Go check out tunicatravel.com. Make sure you're subscribed on all the different platforms and hit that share button. Hit the retweet button, the share button on Facebook, whatever it is. Tell your YouTube buddies about it. Michael said, as always, thanks, fellas. Have a great weekend. Gig 'em. Matt said, yeet. So you gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. Leave a nice review on the podcast, by the way. We appreciate that. The number's still going up. We always appreciate what you guys do. As always, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make